Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Crypto Oracles. Today, we're going to take a look at a few pieces of news revolving around Ethereum, Polkatod, Nike, Microsoft joining the Metaverse, and then we're going to take a look at the markets. So let's jump right into it. First things first, Microsoft is jumping into the Metaverse following up on Facebook's announcement rebranding to Meta earlier this week. So the Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella announced that Microsoft will be integrating into the Metaverse via Teams updates and Xbox upgrades. They announced this on their Microsoft Ignite conference on the 2nd of November, saying that the Metaverse is enabling them to embed computing into the real world and to embed the real world into computing. So this is pretty powerful for the whole concept of Metaverse, NFTs, and gaming that revolves around it. They announced that the dates for Microsoft's team is that Mesh, and its initial rollout will be in 2022, providing users with personalized digital avatars and immersive spaces to meet in the Metaverse. And lastly, of course, they had not forgotten about gaming and declared that Microsoft video game firm Xbox will also absolutely work to integrate the Metaverse into its gaming lines. So this is quite bullish news for the Metaverse and NFTs, but let's keep going. Next up, Nike is also joining the Metaverse. So Nike has filed an application and job postings for joining the Metaverse by designing virtual materials featuring the iconic logo and slogan. So Nike's filed application for its namesake, swoosh logo, and Just Do It slogan to be used in virtual goods, either for entertainment services, retail stores, and for use online and in online virtual worlds. What does this mean? It means that we will be able to basically buy and sell branded pieces of virtual products like NFTs and so on inside of the Metaverse. So this is also very, very bullish, and we're seeing not only tech companies, but now also footwear companies joining the Metaverse. Next up, let's start taking a look at a few coins. So Solana secondary NFT sales reach $500 million in 3 months. So Solana NFT marketplace is growing and growing. You can take a look at solanaart.io to get an idea for a few collections, but it has now become the 4th best NFT blockchain behind Ethereum, Ronin, and Wax in terms of 24-hour sales volume. The secondary sales on Solana based on non-fungible tokens has reached almost 500 million since the start of August, a total of roughly 497 million from around 348,000 transactions. So while Solana is being dubbed the Ethereum killer, at the same time, Ethereum is still very much up there in terms of NFT sales. And as Mason Nystrom, a Messari analyst, has put it, while Solana displays promising metrics in unique addresses and lower price and fees, Ethereum still dwarfs Solana in total NFT secondary volumes. So if you take a look at this chart, you can see Solana sales are just down here, very, very tiny compared to Ethereum sales. Of course, Ethereum is being slowed down by how high the fees are. The fees on Solana are extremely low, so we will probably see the Solana marketplaces picking up quite a lot in the next month or so. Next up, El Salvador. Interesting news from one of the first adopters of Bitcoin in the real world for real applications. El Salvador is going to build 20 Bitcoin schools. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to be teaching Bitcoin in schools. It means they're actually using the Bitcoin from their trust, the surplus from the trust, to build local schools. So the government will use the surplus from its Bitcoin trust account that currently contains 1,120 Bitcoin to build schools. And previously this month, they already announced they spent $4 million from the trust to construct a new veterinary hospital in the capital of El Salvador. And local media now reported this new 20 schools will be built to support the expansion of cryptocurrency education for the locals and be part of the 400 schools planned for My New School program. So we're starting to see very real applications of Bitcoin in the real world and Bitcoin being used massively on a day-to-day basis. Next up, let's take a look at the market. So today, pretty good day, healthy, most on the green. We look at Solana, which is one of the highest gainers in the largest market cap coins. Other rebounding from one of the lowest. We're going to take a look at in a separate video. XRP also bouncing up nicely. Luna, Litecoin. So pretty good overall. Nothing going on crazy at the moment in the major altcoins. A lot of things going on in the metaverse, and we're gonna take a look at that in a moment. So fear and greed index always good to look at. We are in the 70s to 80 range, which is now entering the extreme greed area. So we just surpassed the greed area now. This makes sense. We have been seeing prices rising for the last couple of weeks. And if we look at the crypto fear and greed index over time, we can see that we're now approaching the levels that led to the 6th of September crash here. So fear and greed about 80. So let's be careful about it. Let's be mindful about this as we progress in the next days. And don't forget about profit takings and stop losses. So let's keep going with coin specific news. So Bitcoin whale holdings reached 2021 heights amid inflation fears. So this means that whales, large investors, keeps accumulating Bitcoin against fears of inflation on the general markets. So large investor holding at least 1,000 Bitcoins snapped 142,000 coins in the last week. So we keep seeing accumulation for people that already have quite a lot of holdings. And this seems to be seen as a confirmation of the view that Bitcoin, it's becoming the digital gold. JP Morgan is attributing the rally to the perception that Bitcoin is an inflation edge contrary. And this makes sense. Bitcoin, different from traditional finance or other investment means, it's deflationary, and in the sense that the supply is being reduced and it keeps reducing at every halving. And so the less supply we have, the less coins we have around and the higher value. And we can see here from this chart that the total amount of large Bitcoin holders of whales is being growing, and whales keep accumulating. Next up, Ethereum. We can expect, or analysts are expecting, impulse move, which means we're going to see a parabolic trend, or they expect to see a parabolic trend in between the 6K to 14K range. In my opinion, I can see the 6K by the end of the year, 6 to 8K. I am somewhat skeptical about a 14K target price by 2022, by January 2022. But with these markets, you never really know. So usually best play safe, but this is still very, very bullish news. The climbing price of Ether comes following the recent Alter update to the Ethereum beacon chain, as part of the protocol transition to E2 and proof of stake. So remember, Ethereum is going from proof of work to proof of stake. And this has seen more than 8 million Ether being removed from circulation. So the coins are being burned. And again, as we've seen for Bitcoin, the less coins we have around, the higher the value of a single coin. And ETH could impulse wave to 6,000. So one of the analysts on the market, Michael van der Pop, announced that an impulse wave from 6,000 to 6,400 could occur sometime between November and January 2022. And I would tend to agree with this. I can see this happening if we have a solid support at the current all-time highs that we're just touching at the moment. All right, so let's go next and talk about Polkatod. So Polkatod eyeing $100 next. Well, Polkatod has been performing really well in the last couple of days as it also approaches its all-time high and enters price discovery. So it appears the dot is forming an inverse head and shoulders. So for the ones that don't know what a head and shoulders is a particular technical trading setup in which we see two shoulders and a neckline and a head at the center. An inverse head and shoulders is usually a bullish continuation signal, which means that we're going to see a break upwards. Normal head and shoulders, which would be something like this but flipped around, indicates that we're going to break on the downside. So this is quite bullish as well. We're approaching all-time high levels in price discovery. So if this goes as we've seen in the past, this could then start shooting parabolic. And a price prediction of $100, which is twice the current price, doesn't seem so unrealistic in the next couple of months after all. So interesting news for DOTs is the parachains. So The Polkatod team announced on November 1st that its council passed a motion to enable parachain registration and crowdlands beginning November 4th, adding the proposal now awaits a go-ahead via public referendum. So this means that the parachain auctions will now begin, allowing people to stake DOT to take part to crowdlands and take part to the auctions. For a new project being launched on the chain. Something similar was done back in June when Polkadot testnet chain Kusama conducted a similar parachain slot auction. And as a result of that, we saw the price of Kusama shooting upwards to then consolidate in the following months. Lastly, we talked about the Metaverse, so let's talk about Sand. So Sand, or the Sandbox, is a 3D game very similar to Minecraft, where you can buy land. We've seen quite a few large investors, one of them being Snoop Dogg, and Binance, Cointelegraph, CoinMarketCap themselves, they bought land on the game. So this is an Ethereum-based virtual reality platform called Sandbox, and Sand is the token name. And he recently topped his all-time highs at $3, rising up 300% in just the last 7 days. So this is, of course, at the back of Facebook's announcement to build a metaverse, and Decentraland, Mana, and other major coins in the space are, of course, growing. With the top one still being Axia Infinities, and followed by Engine, and then the Sandbox. So this is definitely a coin we want to take a look at in the future and keep an eye on. Lastly, let's take a look at the future markets. We can see the open interest in Bitcoin. It's now approaching all-time highs that we haven't seen from April. So we're going to be very, very careful in the coming month to any expiry dates for futures and options, liquidations, and things like that. So we're going to keep you updated on this. The next expiry is for the end of the month. So if we take a look at the BTC options open interest, we can see there is quite a few put open at around 61,000, 64,000. Remember, the put is the right to sell at that price. And if the Bitcoin price is higher than that price, then there is no point in selling. So if Bitcoin is, let's say, 70,000, then you wouldn't want to sell at 61,000. If it's lower, then you could use your put option. And we can see call options, which is right to buy at a higher price, so better price. The buy to ride at a lower price. We can see that there is quite a few at 69,000, which means people are very bullish. They're expecting Bitcoin to go even higher than $70,000 by the end of the month, which follows what we've seen from Plan B, who's been getting it right for quite a long time. So lastly, let's look at Ethereum. We talked about how Ethereum has been burned since the launch of the EIP 1559. And cumulatively, we've been burning $2.65 billion worth of Ethereum, reducing the supply of Ethereum. And this was actually the highest week of Ethereum burns, where we topped at 16.85 thousand Ethereum on the 28th of October. So overall, the market are looking healthy, quite bullish positions on a few coins, and definitely a lot of interest from retail and major companies around the metaverse. So thank you for watching. We will bring some news about any updates from the metaverse and from the general markets, open interest, futures and options in the upcoming days. Please follow us on our channels, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.